Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's topic is probability. So let's understand what is probability. Probability is the certainty of any event. So I said certainty. Certainty means that the thing or the event is happening or not happening. Or I can say may or may not happening. Event stands for the given condition. Let's understand it in a better way. Suppose I am saying that the probability of any event is of happening or not happening is lying between 0 and 1, and the middle part is half, right? Which is also zero point 0.5. If I want to convert it into decimals, that will be called as zero point 0.5. And if you want to write it in fractions, that will be 1 over 2. So what is the meaning of these numbers here? So this 0 stands for impossible event. This 1 stands for a assured event, that the event is 100% sure that it is going to happen. And 0 stands for not happening that event. And in middle we can say it may or may not happen. So there is a 50-50 chances of happening and not happening. In that way, I also can say this thing that the probability of any event is lying between 0 to 1. That means it is never going to be negative or going to be beyond 1 or before 0. So this is the case, right? Now I'll tell you the formula for this. Probability of any event is number of favorable outcomes over total number of outcomes. So this is the main formula that you're always going to use in all the questions. And this is the main condition that we follow every time. If you want to check if your given probability solution is correct or not, so you also have to check that this is lying in between 0 to 1. Okay. And this is the main formulation that every time we are going to use. Now let's see how we can represent our events. So the topic is representation of combined events. What is combined events? Combined means when two or more events are given. Combined itself means it is not, they're not talking about one event, they're talking about more than one event, right? So it may be two or more than two events. So what is representation? Representation basically stands how we are going to denote it in the exam. What formulation, what technique we are going to use here. So basically here we have four techniques. One is we can simply list them in the given sample space. I'll explain it one by one in a deeper way along with some examples. But just for now, I'm writing what are the types of it. Second one is using a two-dimensional grid. Third is tree diagram. Fourth is Venn diagram. Here, these two are very important. This will help you in finding the probabilities of independent dependent events more easily and accurately. So, these two parts are really important to understand. Other two are also important, but they are we can even skip that, right? But these two are basically the most relevant ones. I'll explain you these things with the help of examples. Firstly, I'll tell you what is listing all about. So, first case I'm taking of listing. If I'm saying that we are tossing a coin is tossed. So, I'm talking about one single coin, right? So, listing events is basically the sample space, and samples we are going to write that within the sample space, right? So, if a coin is tossed, I might be getting a head or a tail, right? And these are the curly brackets that we that represent the sample space in it. Okay, so head and tail are the two possible outcomes of tossing a coin, right? Suppose if the same question goes with the coins two coins are tossed, so the sample space will be head 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 tail tail head and tail tail. So we got four outcomes, right? So total outcomes here is four in number, and here your total outcomes were two in number. So basically, listing is simply writing down what numbers you will be getting after tossing or after throwing anything, after taking out from a bag or anything. Any example is relevant here. Listing is specifically about two or more things, right? Even one thing is also applicable here. I'll be taking up three cases to make sure that we all understand it in a better way. Let's take the coin case again. So, first case belongs to the coin. So, coin case means if I am saying that we are tossing one coin. So, as I already told you, that we'll be getting two outcomes, which is head and tail. So, I wrote here, and my total outcomes are TO stands for the total outcomes here. I'm just taking a short form of it, but this is not relevant from the exam point of view. You guys have to write properly that total outcomes. Okay, so this TO is 2 here, right? And for the second case, I'm saying if two coins are tossed, then we are getting four outcomes, which is head head, head tail, tail head, and tail tail. So here my total outcomes are four in number. Okay, let's take one more case. If you are tossing three coins, so what will be the total outcomes? There is a way of writing it and understanding it. So this is again, I'm going to tell you with a trick. So firstly, write head, head, head. Okay. Then take the diagonal and write T, T, T. Okay. And in the leftover places, you write H. Okay. Now, again, you try it with the tail, tail, tail. So this is tail, tail, tail. Now in the diagonal, I'll be putting head like this, and in the Leftover places I'm putting T. So that's how I am getting 8 outcomes here. Total outcomes are 8 in numbers. This is the best way to write a 3 coin tossing sample space. Okay, so I hope you understand the trick. Just write the heads, then go with the diagonal, then tail, go with the diagonal and fill the leftover numbers with the relevant ones, right? I hope you guys understand this trick. Now let's take what kind of questions occurs in this. So suppose if I'm taking up the first case and I'm saying that if we are going to toss 1 coin, and what is the probability of getting a head, right? So probability of getting a head, that is simply 1, right? Because head is occurring 1 time and the total outcomes are 2 in number. So I'll write 2 here. Okay, so half is the right answer, and if you want to convert this into decimals, so you can write it 0.5. This will be same for the tail category as well. Okay, now, and one more thing is there. So some people, Bollywood fans, what they do, they actually consider it if the coin is standing straight. So my dear, this is not going to be the case, because this is purely maths and that's Bollywood, right? So we are going to consider this either a head or a tail, not going to be in between. Okay, so there is not going to be any third case. Next one, if a coin is tossed 2 times. So I'm writing few words here. Let's see if you guys understand it or not. So one word is called at least, one word is called exact, and the next word is called at most. So these are the 3 main words which we can consider here, right? So when we say at least means we are talking about the lowest value in the question, right? So when we talk about the lowest one, go to the maximum value. Okay, when we talk about the lowest value, low to max, always go to low to max. I'll explain you how we go from low to max. Exact means whatever they are asking, you are simply going to write that. No excuses, no assumption, nothing is there. Okay, exact means straight value, whatever they are asking, you are going to write that straight. At most means we are talking about maximum value, right? When we talk about the maximum value, then we are going to till low value. Okay, now how does this works? Suppose if I'm taking this case, 2 coin case, and I'm asking you that what is the probability of at least 2 heads. I'm saying at least 2 heads. So that means I'm talking about the at least case of 2 heads. So where I can see 2 heads, this, right? This is the lowest part here. And what is the maximum answer here? This is the maximum one only, right? So this probability of getting at least answer is going to give you 1 over 4, because the total is 4 here, right? And for 3 coins are tossed together, then if I'm taking the same question for this, the probability of at least 2 heads, then let's check the 2 heads, these, right? So this is about 2 heads, right? When we say at least 2 heads, so I said go till maximum. So this is the lowest one here. 2 head is the lowest part. So we'll go till the maximum value of head. So maximum value of head is 3, right? Then the answer would be 4 over 8, because the total outcome is 8 here and these are 4 in numbers, right? And now there is one more important thing. that you guys have to solve it, right? You have to simplify it. So that is going to give you a half. Next case, if I'm saying probability of exactly one tail, we'll take consider the same case. So what is the probability of getting one tail? One tail I can see exactly in this case. Let's change the pen to have a better picture. This one, and this one, right? So we have exactly one tail in 3, right? So we'll write 3 over 8. That's the right answer for this. Okay. Now let's jump on to the utmost case. So if I'm saying probability of at most 2 heads, so I am saying at most 2 heads means you have to take maximum 2 heads. So that is the maximum value. So this one, this one, right? But for at most, I said you always go from max to low. So this was the maximum. Then we'll go to one head. One head is this, and zero head, okay, which is this. So that means we are talking about probability of 2 heads plus probability of 1 head and probability of 0 head. Okay, so this is an interesting case here because we are going to consider all of these cases, and the total of these cases will be 7 because only this probability, this one is left. Otherwise, rest of all the numbers are there. If you want to write it separately, I can tell you. So this is 3 over 8. One head is also 3 over 8, and 0 head is 1 over 8. So the total will become 7 over 8. That's the right answer for this. So this is how the probability works in the coin cases. I hope you understand this thing till here. Okay, now let's take another case. That next case, let's write it case 2 here. And this case is of dice. You guys might have played Ludo, right? So in Ludo, you have a dice to play with in which you will get few numbers written on it, right? It is a cubical figure. Cube looks like this, and you see numbers on every face, right? Like this. Okay, so all the phases have different numbers. None of the number is going to repeat. So in this, if I'm throwing one die, right? So if I'm throwing one die, the total outcomes will be 6 in numbers. 6 in numbers how? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like this. And suppose if you're throwing 2 die. So if you're throwing 2 dice, this case is little different. Now the total outcomes will be 36 in numbers. How it become 36? Let's write it together to understand it more. So in this case, if you're throwing 2 dice and suppose you're getting one on each of them, so I'll be writing 1 1, right? So first line stands for the first die and second line stands for the second die. So it's 1 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5, 1 6. Similarly, now I'm going to change the first line. So just let me just write all of that. This is now the 5's line. Then the 6th line. That's a total, right? So I'm putting a curly bracket over here. Now let's come back to this. Let me write one more case for you. And if I'm throwing 3 dice, right? So I'm just writing total outcomes, which is 216 in number. Okay. Now let's come back to the 1 die case. What kind of questions arise in this? So if you are taking up this case, right? In this case, basically they can ask you, if we are throwing a die, what is the probability of getting an odd number? A very basic question, odd number. Or they can ask you about the even number, or they can ask you about the prime number, they can ask you about the composite number, or maybe they can ask you about the multiple of 2 or 3 or 5, something like that, like very basic things, right? So I hope you understand all of these words, right? So what is an odd number? Odd number which is not a divisible of 2, right? So these are 3 numbers, correct? So the probability will be 3 over 6. Similarly, the even numbers are these. Okay, the prime number. Prime numbers are the numbers which are not going to be divided, or which does not have the more than 2 factors. Okay, so more than 2 factors, and one is not a prime number. One is not a prime number, one is neither prime nor composite. So you need to remember all of these things. Prime numbers are those numbers which will be divided by 1 and the number itself, right? Composite numbers, they have more than two factors. Okay. So these kind of questions can come and you need to answer it accordingly, right? But in the second case, the first case that occurs here is the probability of getting a doublet. So doublet itself stands for the two numbers which are same, right? So when we say doublet, you always get your answers in this type of grid, in diagonal, vertical, horizontal. So all of my answers are going to lie like this. Either they are going to lie vertically, or they are lying diagonally, horizontally. Okay. So doublet is basically 6 in numbers, right? 1 1, 2 2, 3 3, 4 4, 5 5, 6 6, right? So that's straightway 6 over 36 probability of getting a doublet, right? And if they're asking you about non doublet, then it is 30 by 36. You can subtract the 6 from the total numbers, right? So that's easy, right? And later on we'll understand what formula we are using here. Okay. So now we need to understand one more thing. They can ask you even the weirdest questions, right? They can ask you that what is the probability of getting a prime number on the first die? Do you understand this means? That means you have to check the prime numbers in the first place. So I can see 2 line here, right? 3 is also a prime and 5 is also a prime, right? So my solution lies here. I have to consider all of these solutions because all of them have 5 in the lines, right? As I already told you that you will get all your solutions either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, right? So these three lines will be your solution for here. That will be 18 by 80, 18 by 36 in numbers. Okay. And now they can even ask you about the composite number on the second die or anything like that, right? But the main question that comes here is about a sum of 12 or a sum of, let's take a smaller one, 10. So that's very much clear that we have to check whose sum is 10. Like the two dice, if you're throwing, the numbers on them adds up to give you a 10, right? So for this thing, I'll tell you one more trick. You need to go along with this direction. Go with this direction, then go with this direction, right? Do not clutter your mind while writing your solutions. Just go on with the few things that are looking easier for us. This line, and then go with this line, right? So let's take, if I'm saying a sum of 10, right? So this will give you 2, this will give you 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Can you see this? 6 plus 4 is giving you 10, right? But whenever you got one solution, you check your diagonal from there. So I can see this, right? So these are 3 in numbers. So I can simply write the probability of this is 3 over 36, right? I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey here. Let's take one more example. If I'm talking about a sum of 7. So let's check again. Sum of 7 is 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is this one, right? So let's continue with the diagonal. Just check your diagonal, go along with your diagonal, and this will give you the right solution, right? You got 6 outcomes, that is 6 over 36. That's really simple, right? And to make you guys confused, they can ask you what is the probability of getting a sum of 14, right? So don't get confused and check all the numbers randomly, right? Don't check all that, right? You just need to check this way. Go on with this way. So the last number here is giving me 6 plus 6, which is 12. So that means this is again irrelevant, right? So there is no, even a single number is there to give you a 14 sum, right? So that simply goes to 0 over 36, which will even lead to 0. Okay. So I hope you understand this. Now come back to this 3 dice cases. They can simply ask you about a triplet. So here we can go along with the triplet. The best case that we can have here is triplet. Triplet is again very much clear to us, right? So either you're getting 1 1 1, 2 2 2, or 3 3 3, right? Till 6 6 6. So I hope you this is very much clear now because you total have 6 numbers, right? So this will become 6 over 216. Now you can cancel it and the answer will become 1 over 36, right? And they can even ask you about a non-triplet, right? So non-triplet is, so let's write probability here to make it more clear. Not getting a triplet. So not getting a triplet is basically 216 minus 0 over minus 6 over 216, right? Which is 210 over 216, which you can again simplify to get your final solution, right? Always remember you need to simplify your answers at the end, right? If your exam allows you to use your calculator, just put it in the decimal form, right? If you guys are not using any calculators, so please go ahead with this, right? Just simply cancel it off. Suppose it is going in threes table, 3 sevens are 21 and 3 7 21 2, right? Again it can be cancelled, right? So the final answer becomes 35 over 36. This is the final one. I hope you guys understood this. I hope you guys like the lesson. I hope to see you guys soon with some more tricks and techniques to execute an exam. Thank you so much.